So here I am with lots of goodies together as I've come up with a plan for my journal, for Junk Journal January, for the cover. I want to do like a forest theme on here. So I've got some felt. This is really coarse felt. I got this in a pack. It feels more like, perhaps it isn't felt. It's a wool mix anyway. So I've got that. I've got my doily that I dyed with red cabbage. And then here are my five signatures. And there's 6 in each. That's 30, isn't it? So that's 120 sides. So I'm going to do a floating spine onto here. And then we're going to put that over the top of the floating spine. And I'm going to use some of this. I'm going to do some stitching onto here. And maybe a bit on the back as well. I'm not sure yet. Just to start off the journal. This will be the journal cover. However, it will and it won't be. Because it's going to go in the leather look cover that I made. That I have shown on previous videos. So I hope you understand that. I don't. So there's all my bits and pieces. This is some rust dyed fabric. This is some avocado dyed like cheap, very fine, not fine, very coarse cheesecloth. And this is some vintage, it's actually from a christening gown, isn't it pretty, that I dyed with some green. And I like the different shades of green. I like these, can you see these sort of marks on it, like watertight marks. Then I've got some bits of lace. These are just bits. I'm doing some embroidery on another piece I'm working on. Some silk. And these are just my bits that I've cut off. So I thought I could use those as well. So I've got everything together. And I'm looking forward to creating this. So first of all, my floating spine. Oh, let me show you these. I've got all these on here. These are cups. So my daughter and I we go mudlarking and tiplarking and sort of riverlarking. And I love these cups. I love them to put my bits and pieces in. This one here, these are just plain cups, these. So they're from like about the 20s, 30s. It's got rust marks on them where they've been in the ground. So I've just got my scraps of paper in there from this journal I'm making. Here's another one. This one's decorated. So what I'm going to do, so I use them for putting my bits and pieces in. You know, I might say if I'm working on something, I might put beads in. In fact, I will be putting some beads in. And then I've got these handles and I thought I'm going to fix these handles. I've got lots of these handles. I'm going to have a look at fixing on these handles and then putting something in these and selling them. Because I do think they look really sort of cute for on your desk. So I thought I'd fix them up and maybe put some beads in or some hand-dyed fabrics, etc. What do you think? Back to my journal. Here it is. So it is not decorated yet at all. So whatever I measure this at, I need to at least double it. Come together. So it is about approximately, it's about 1.5 inches. I mean, if I really squeeze it together, I can get it to under 1 inch. So if I go for about, shall I go for a 2-inch spine? Which is about what? 2.5, I think 2.5 centimetres is 1 inch. It's about a 5-inch spine. Or would that be too big? Let's go for, should we just go for 1.5 inch spine? No, we'll go for a 2-inch. 2-inch. So it's going to be 2 inches, and this is the easy one. 2 inches, well, it would be if you had numbers on your ruler, wouldn't it? By there, which is about 22 centimetres. So I've got some hard, thick card, which I think in America you call chipboard. So I'm going to measure it 22. So let's have a look here. It is just over the 22 actually. And we said by, did we say 2.5? I think we did, didn't we? 2.5. I've got my half there. Oh, look at the side of me here. Yay! That's better. So 2.5 is there from the edge there. 2.5. It's much better, isn't it, when your ruler has numbers on? It's all right for tearing paper, but not for doing something as quite as precise as your spine. So 2.5. Now this will not, absolutely not run through my paper cutter I've seen. So I've drawn a line down there. And I'm going to use my knife. She says, I can't even draw a line with my knife. So I'm going to go, because of how thick, just going off piste a little bit there. Because of how thick this chipboard is, I'm going to need to come down here a few times. I'm a bit rubbish at that. There we go. There we are. Let's go down that again. So I want 2 of these because I'm going to do one that I stitched to and then I'm going to pop another one onto it. Do you know, doing the spine is probably the thing that I least like. One, I don't like knives, so I struggle using a knife. Let's cut that now. Yeah, I don't like knives. I did have a knife phobia, but I seem to be over that. But it doesn't mean I like knives at all. Right, so I'm going to do another one of those. So let's just get that like this and draw a line down. And then get our knife and do some more cutting down there. So I get 2 of those. Both done there. Should both be the same. Yes, they are. Wonderful. Okay. So let's get my doily and my piece of woolen felt, whatever it is. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have to do it like this. I'm going to have to put that there. That there. That's better. Then I'm going to do my stitching, etc. on this bit here. And then when my spines, when I've stitched my book in, then over the top of that, to secure my stitches, I'll pop that. That's what I'm going to do. Right, let's get it all lined up. So I'm going to use the edges of this doily here to decide, to look at exactly where I'm going. Oh, do you know what I got for Christmas? My new glue gun. When I opened it, my daughter was like, "What on earth is that, Mother?" I said, "You know, it's my new glue gun." So this was off my mum, gift off my mum, this. So she said, "Well, why have we all got perfume and you've got a glue gun?" And I said, "Well, easy. When Nana asked me what perfume I wanted for Christmas, I said, I don't want any, I want a glue gun." And it's one of the ones that, it's not on a lead. It like charges up, that's the word I'm looking for. Charges up. When I've done my stitching on this, I'm going to back it then I'll glue that down so that that acts like a back into my stitches. Let's put some bit of this on here. So did everyone have a nice Christmas? I'm waiting to see what you say. Most of you are shouting yeah. I said not everybody enjoys Christmas though, do they? But yeah, we had a really nice Christmas. It was quiet with family. The only person missing was my son because he's in Australia. So that was a bit sad. But yesterday, he's been watching the Ashes while he's been over there, and he was in Melbourne yesterday and the day before, and England won apparently. So he was very pleased about that. So he said that was a fantastic day. Right, I'm going to pop this on there. I'm not going to stitch my book in yet because I'm going to do my stitching first. Put that. I need to know where the middle of that is. I should have done this first. So it's 2.5. So 1 1/4. Which is, oh! That was good, wasn't it? 1 1/4. That's the middle there. 1 1/4. Right. So that needs to go there. Oh, look at that. Do you know, I've got this wool out of the cupboard and it just so happens to be exactly the right size. All right, so we'll just open that up. So that will go like that. Let's just move it over a tiny bit, actually. Fabulous. So, I mean, it is a shame that that'll be covered. That there will be covered by my book. But what a beautiful book it's going to be. Recap. That's stuck on there now. When I've stitched my signatures in there, I will then, on top of the signatures, I will put the other piece. On top of the stitching of the signatures, I'll put that other piece. And then that will be glued into my book. However, just thinking about it, I'm going to need to put something else on the back of there as well to stick into the book, because if I just only stick that in, so I might have to put some paper. I will. So across there, I'll have to put some paper as well, because I want to stick that and the paper into the book. Yes, that is me just working it out. Let's have a look what we're going to do with our stitching. Here's all my bits and pieces. So I was going to look at sort of scrumpling these up, this up, stitching it on. This was the plan, onto there. And then sort of catching these bits in. And putting some beads and things in too. It's just a collection of things I've found in the ground. Some of these are incredibly old pieces of pottery. Some have been found in rivers. They're the very sort of worn ones. So I'm just looking through the tiny things that I might want to include on this journal cover, because a lot of the old Victorian dump sites in this country are now found in woodland and forest, because they planted the trees over the old tips, so they are in the woodlands. So if you go into the woods and the rabbits have been digging, etc., quite often you'll find little pieces of pottery and what have you kicked up from the animals. Anyway, I think I've got what I want, because I don't want to overrun it. So I've got a piece of pottery there. What I could do with another. I've got a piece of pipe stem, so that could date back anywhere from the like 1400s to the 1800s. That piece of clay pipe stem. Got a little vintage button that I found in the soil. A little piece of handle off a cup or a jug. So I just need one more piece of pottery. I have this jar of already rounded off pieces because I make buttons too. You see the two holes, these little buttons, and these do sell really, really well in my shop. So actually, oh, that's a cute piece, isn't it? Yeah, I'll have that instead of that. So yeah, so I do have them in my shop if you're interested. It's a nice piece. I want to make some absolute tiny, tiny, tiny little buttons. Because I'm going to be making some miniature dolls, and I want to make the buttons out of these little shards of pottery. That's Scottish sponge ware. Right, so I've got those, and now I've got some beads. So I want to pick some of these. These are vintage glass beads. These are available in my shop too. So I want to pick out like the crystal-y ones. They're all glass. Let's pick some of the green ones out as well. So I want to use all these, not necessarily each individual one of these, but I want to use these elements within the front of this cover. There we go. So I've got in this cup my little bits of cut-offs of wool from the other piece of work that I'm doing. I have got some beads, a button, some pieces of pottery, clay pipe, a handle off a cup. So these are things that you might find in the UK on the forest floor. I've got those other bits and pieces of my fabrics, dyed fabrics. So now I'm going to begin.